I'm Achievement Coach Greg Kilgore, and I am the Graceful Freedom Fighter. I'm fighting for your freedom and your empowerment to have the lifestyle, the love, and the purpose you want. And this is the Challenge Rally brought to you by thechallengecall.com. And of course, as always, I'm here with our co-founder and my business partner, Dragon Slayer, Kirk McDowell. Hey, Kirk.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for getting this set up. I know that's not always the funnest thing in the whole world for you. And I'm certainly glad
it's easier every time.
Yeah, it is getting easier. And one day we'll just show up one day and everything will be perfect. And that will be a moment for us, I think. We're celebrating.
Indeed.
So thank you for getting it set up.
Sure thing. So, Kirk, I always introduce, hey, it's me, and this is what I stand for. What do you stand for when we come together?
Well, I call myself the Dragon Slayer. I don't want to belabor the point every call necessarily, but Dragon Slayer. Really, what I stand for and who I am is light, love, and connection. The light of something is possible here. Whatever it is that is your heart's desire, and the connection of you are not alone. If no one else on the planet can hear you and connect with what you're trying to create, you got me. You got the Dragon Slayer. And then the love that I speak of is the love of granting space and granting being. And I stand for everybody gets to create their life from nothing. Like really, really have your dreams fulfilled, not just the plan B dreams that some people might be working on at the moment.
I know we're trying to streamline these challenge rally conversations, but dude, I never tire of hearing you create what you're about. So
thank you.
It's all good. So go ahead.
No, I was just tying that little conversation up in a bow.
Well, now we're going to open up another conversation today. Yeah, we're going to, let's talk about energy. Let's talk about energy.
Okay, great.
We both sound like we're ready to jump into the deep end. You want to go first?
Well, yeah, I'm totally. And I was laughing because I was taking a sip of coffee as you were saying, let's talk about energy. The irony of the coffee and the energy conversation just kind of hit me there for just a half a second. But yeah, energy, we talk a lot about energy, good energy, bad energy. I like that person's energy. This person's giving me bad energy about this thing. I have good energy about this project. My energy feels really good today. My energy feels off today. Or maybe a little bit of a stretch is, I get a good vibe about this. I get a good vibe about this person. I don't get a good vibe about this, that, or the other, So I'm interested in just taking a look for a moment at what do we mean by all of that, So I have a couple of starting places. I don't have an answer I don't have a good news. Here's the 17-point checklist, but I do have a couple of starting places for the conversation. And one I'll throw out there is the energy. So I guess I need to say a little bit more. So one way that I look at energy, and it's not the only way, and I don't have this fully distinguished every nook, crevice and corner of this thing, but one way that I look at it is a certain type of experience that I have about a thing or a person or a situation that is beyond how I feel about something in a way that I normally speak of it. So there's an experience about a person or a situation. There's a certain energy about that person or situation for me in my experience over here. That probably just is ever more vague and muddy. But so one thing I pay attention to, I don't necessarily act on, make a decision, but one thing I pay attention to is what is my experience of what I'm working with, and not my experience as a complaint necessarily, because it's easy to get into complaining or or not my experience about worrying, not the experience of worrying about a future or something. So I'm not talking about that either. I'm talking about in the moment, when I am in the moment, doing what I'm doing, having a conversation, contemplating something, trying to work something out for myself, planning something. What is my experience in the moment related to really what I'm doing and how it's, okay, so anyway, I'll just start to wrap that up. So just kind of my experience in, of myself and what's possible and how strong I am or how clear I am or how sharp I am and thinking and figuring something through. So I just kind of noticed that certain people and certain situations and certain kinds of conversations and certain environments make me kind of clearer, smarter, and stronger and quicker, and some have the reverse effect. So I have some attention on just noticing at least what's what and who's who and which is which and so forth, just so that right now it's sort of an inquiry, and I'm just kind of gently responding to those pings, as I'm sort of distinguishing this. So let me just kind of pause there for a minute. That was kind of a big opening.
Actually, it's really great. Yeah, actually, it's really great. So, we decided to create a space where we wanted to generate a conversation about energy, because we know energy is it's valuable as a vocabulary word. It's valuable as sort of an object to have a conversation about. And then energy, when you talk about it, becomes something to reach for, becomes something to generate. So there's so many different ways to come to energy. Kind of like I like to play with coming to the word challenge, right? So we have the challenge call, the challenge rally. A challenge can be a dilemma, and a challenge can, on the other hand, be a goal, something you aspire to. Energy has all kinds of ways of talking about it, handling it as well, right? And so, energy shows up as something that you are going to be a reaction to, right? So you might say that's a dilemma, right? So if it happens to be bad energy, as we might say, you don't want it. You don't want to hang around that person with the negative energy. On the other hand, when you make a choice, so now you're reaching for, I want to be the source of or be aligned with energy that, like you created. I like the way you put it, that allows me to be succinct, have clarity, be peaked in my performance, so I'm striving for, I'm creating a field of energy, as opposed to just reacting to or dealing with energy that shows up. So, so we've been talking a lot about getting at energy, but I want us to also capture right here, sooner rather than later, why bother? Why energy? Right? Okay. And there's so much I think that we take for granted, and we confuse our emotions with our intellectual thoughts, and we think worse of a situation or worse of ourselves when we're reacting to negative emotions. And then there's that feedback loop where then we think about it some more and we have more emotion, and then emotion generates more thought, right? And you get caught in that not great or bad feedback loop. And then energy is generated, right?
Yeah, some people refer to that as like a negative spiral.
There you go. So and just by the language we put to it, right? Negative. So obviously, bad vibes, right? Bad vibes. Not desirable. So we can come at that intellectually. We can come at it with coaching conversation, and we can come at it with coaching energy. We can come at it with you know, you might be in a negative spiral, right? My client, you're in a negative spiral at the moment, and I'm just I'm just really listening for where the coaching's going to show up, that I'm going to just be able to make one subtle, but probably profound recommendation where you're going to go, oh, you're going to take a breath, and suddenly that negative energy, that negative language spiral you're in with the negative energy wave right on top of it, is just going to suspend long enough for that. I always knew it was going to work out. You now are having the benefit of my energy, that it was all going to work itself out, and now suddenly you're working it out. You're working it out. So that's one kind of possible practical application of energy.
Beautiful.
Why that would be valuable.
I love that. I love it. Well, in response to that more practical mainstream version, I'm going to jump off into the deep end just because it sounds like a fun idea. So I read a book a bunch of years ago called The Celestine Prophecy. It's a story, but in each chapter it's like a distinction, you could say. And so it's loosely put together a story that relates to a series of distinctions that I find particularly powerful. One of them is this right here. So this idea of that you can literally beam good energy at someone, like beam love at someone. And you know, I don't think it's like a ray of light coming out of your eyes or anything, you know, but so the way I create that for myself is I have an intention, and I'm literally, you know, extending my intention out towards someone, you know, an intention of love or clarity or safety or, you know, or something's like light, you know, and so one of the things they create is one way you could be in a conversation is beaming someone good energy such that they are smarter, clearer, sharper, you know, present, safe, you know, in a sense, able to perform. If someone's communicating, there's something they're trying to communicate. So in a sense, you're creating an environment through your intention that makes it easier for them to perform, right? So one way you could be in a conversation is intentionally having someone be as clear and sharp as they can be so that they can communicate, so they can fulfill their intention to communicate something. And what you're listening for is the gift that they have for you in that conversation, right? So you're, on one hand, intending, you know, that they communicate what they're trying to communicate, and that they're communicating at their highest self, and they're clear and sharp, and they're really distinguishing what they're saying. And on the other hand, you're listening for the gift or the goal that that person has for you, and then you reverse the process, right? So that everybody gets a full swing. Everybody gets supported in that particular way. And so you can imagine a conversation of 10 people, right? And instead of everybody fighting for oxygen and airtime and getting their point across, everybody is silent, you know, viscerally intending that the one person speaking is got all this energy and is just, you know, clear and sharp and communicating, and everybody's listening for the gift, and then we all take turns. And you can very quickly get through a very complex situation in that kind of space. And so for me, there's something very energetic about that. I don't really understand how that works, but I have viscerally experienced and observed it over time.
That's great, man. That's beautiful. Thank you for creating it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And pardon me for every so often aiming off screen, and I'm making sure that the video is syncing up correctly. So I'm always, you know, handling technology in the background a little bit. But, you know, so what showed up for me in your share, right? So you said, look, we're going to jump into the deep end and the high end. Yeah.
Right.
And that's really kind of a coach-to-coach, high-level conversation you just created there, right? I think any coach can appreciate what you just distinguished. That being said, now I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna run with it and switch gears, and I'm gonna switch from, you know, the graceful freedom fighter to achievement coach Greg Kilgore. So here's the achievement coach kind of spin on that. A really simple take is a lot of, and when I say a lot, most people have nerves or anxiety about presenting or speaking in public. And for that matter, about being heard by a group, right? Another way of putting it. And, you know, they go in front of a crowd, or they go to speak and to share themselves, and their anxiety gets the better of them, and all they can do is sort of have this self-consciousness. They're always hearing their own voice in their head, and they don't ever sound right, and what they don't get, what they don't look for. So you created that I could be a great listener for you, empowering you to share with me. What about that I'm a presenter in front of a group, and what I am listening for, what I'm evoking from my audience in the way of energy is they want me to succeed. They want to be entertained. They don't want me to walk up here and bore them or fumble the ball, which are all like the things I'm afraid I'm gonna do. But the truth is, they're not out there. They're not waiting for me to fail as a speaker. They want it to be fun. They want to be engaged. So if I can go on stage and feel what they really want, which is for me to capture their attention, to entertain, to really engage them, I'm already generating a different kind of energy, because I've shifted my expectations from self-centered, self-conscious, worry about me, you know, ego's telling me I better look good, you know, when I switch up the energy in that regard, you know, for me, which is a much simpler case scenario, you know, than you were drawing out, where there's certainly plenty of complexity when we're trying to communicate effectively and use energy. I think, you know, just a simple nugget reminder I'd hand off to anybody who wants to speak to a group or a crowd in public, or just simply to speak to be heard. Come do it expecting that the person who's listening wants to hear you. They want to get it. And you know, take responsibility on your side for what you're generating with them as they're listening over there. And then, of course, you know, remember to like you said, when the scenario is reversed and you're a listener, you know, be a giver in that regard as well, and look for the gift that's being shared, right? So then you flip the whole thing around. I'm in the audience. I have a seminar tonight. You know, what kind of listener am I going to be? Am I looking for to be inspired? Or, you know, of course I am. You know, I was going to say, or am I looking to, you know, of course I'm not looking to be bored. Of course I'm not looking to be kicked off. You know, I'm not looking for, I'm always seeking to be, you know, I don't show up at a seminar unless I'm seeking to be inspired and engaged. So. And I could be an effective listener around that. And I could generate energy where, like you said, my seminar leader has a gift to offer me, and I can just constantly be a space for, it's going to be easy for you to give me that gift. Just give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. It's going to be easy. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to talk about a different kind of energy. So one thing I notice in my life a lot when I interact with people is a lot of people spend a lot of time talking about and thinking about either something they're upset about in the past, like sort of a complaint type of conversation, you know, like you meet somebody and what they immediately do is start to report on all the drama in their lives. Are you?
Oh, sure. We've all done it, and we all listen to it all the time.
Right. So there's that, you know, like a complaint about a business complaint, or a complaint about something personal, or a complaint about their favorite football team, or the weather, or politics, or whatever, right? And there's, you know, and then there's another type of conversation that's very common, is a concern or worry about the future. You know, like, oh my gosh, this is happening, and that's happening, and on and on and on, right? And in both cases, what I observed often is there's no real commitment. It's not like someone is powerfully going through something that happened in the past to learn various lessons and, you know, get themselves empowered. And it's not quite that kind of conversation, either about the past or the future, right? And so what I noticed is when people spend time and energy and words on, you know, something about the past that upset them that is actually already happened, right, by the very nature of that it's in the past, or they are complaining about some future that technically hasn't happened yet because it's in the future, and that's kind of the nature of the future, right? It hasn't happened yet, right? So you have a lot of people spending a lot of time, or say an individual spends a lot of time thinking and talking about the past and thinking and talking about the future. And in both of those cases, from an energetic point of view, you could consider that an individual is literally conjuring up bad energy, like literally conjuring up an upset, all that experience, physical and emotional and psychological, you have when something really upsetting happens, and literally reliving it over and over and over and over. And it actually doesn't exist because it's in the past. Remember, we're talking about the past, so by its very definition, it's actually not happening now, right? And so you spend time and energy on conjuring up something over and over again. So that's, from an energetic point of view, I would look at that as a very heavy drain on one's energy. You know, just a constant drain. Secondly, if you're worrying about the future, it's exactly the same thing. It hasn't happened yet. You're literally planning and arguing internally or fighting for something that literally hasn't happened yet, you know. And so, again, a really expensive use of energy and time, especially when you have opportunities to connect with people and actually have conversations to get complete, like have the past be in the past, have the future be in the future, and actually have you be like right here where you're at. Sounds simple, but relatively uncommon in my experience, you know. So, which from an energetic point of view, again, I would say creates a really massively positive energy, peaceful, powerful, safe, and an experience of anything's possible, you know. And so that's another way you could look at sort of transformational conversations from an energetic point of view. You know, you're applying transformation to go to work on areas where the energy is not good, your experience is not good, you know. There's a tremendous drain. You expend a tremendous amount of energy on staying present or creating a powerful context about something, or, you know, getting yourself up in the morning and showing up someplace, you know, like, you know, something. I would say that something in your life is a constant drain on your energy, and maybe even the very tasks that are difficult, because otherwise, you know, it wouldn't, you know, people are naturally energetic and vibrant when, you know, life is awesome, you know, when their energy's good, you know. So
absolutely.
Let me just pause there. I got a little rambling there at the end.
No, I think you did a great job of creating how we show up when we are sharing a story about the past or sharing a story about the future and bringing it into the present as if it's really happening right now. And I'm getting you embroiled in it. I mean, you created that very well.
Actually, can I add a layer to that?
Sure.
So I had a conversation with a client recently about this, which is the pragmatic expense of conjuring up the past over and over again, or worrying about the future over and over again. So, you know, lots of times I interact with people and I'm there to make a difference with them, you know, given the business that I'm in and some other activities I participate in. I'm in situations where I have a few minutes with someone and I'm really committed to making a difference. And I notice there's a real cost to having to spend half of that time just going through an automatic conversational style called, you know, well, let's complain about a few things first, and let's worry about a few things first, and then with the precious few moments we have left, let's, you know, if we even get to that, you know. And so I just, if I look at my life and my desire to perform and succeed in what I'm up to, I notice I have an ever and ever shrinking tolerance for anything in my life that makes it more difficult for me to succeed, you know. Bad energy doesn't empower me. And, you know, so for me, it's all about performance. I'm interested in performance, whether it's in my relationship or my business or my communication or, you know, health and fitness, just whatever it is, my music. So performance is important to me. And I notice when I'm peaceful and I'm present and I feel good and I, you know, am connected to who I am and what I'm here for, about whatever I'm here for, then I notice there's just a good energy and a very big opportunity to perform. Like the performance is almost in the bag. All right, thank you. Audio just went out.
No, I'm here. Sorry about that.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely, there is a cost there's a cost, right? I took business courses way back in the day, and what immediately showed up for me was, from economics class, we call it the opportunity cost, right? So when I'm spending time with you rattling on about a story that's not real anymore, there was an opportunity that we could have been doing something else. And we haven't only spent the time, but we've missed out on an opportunity to have a whole other possibility happen. So being present to that cost is valuable. And so, there was another aspect to the sharing that shows up for me that I want to point to inside of this conversation, that we have an opportunity. There's something to do something about what we're talking about here. So what there is to do so far about what we're talking about is to look for a red flag when we open our own mouths, right? So we can get all into how do we work with somebody else, or how do we work with a client, right? Which we're always good at getting into. But, I also want us to, as coaches, be practicing our mastery, right? So when I open my mouth, I'm looking for a red flag. The red flag I'm looking for is that I have this anxiousness that you got to hear everything I have to say before I'm done. I'm going to leave something out, and if you're not listening to every single word that I'm saying, and I don't have your complete undivided attention, I'm not going to share everything I have to say. So I'm going to kind of speed up in my talking, and I've got to tell you, and man, you've got to hear me, because you got to know I'm right, and you got to know this is how it happened for me. When that level of anxiousness begins to or shows up for you in your way of talking, that's the red flag that you're not presently sharing. Now, if you're enthusiastic and I'm out to inspire you and I'm out to engage you, it's a different vibe. And I know you're listening and I know you're appreciating it. But when a red flag shows up for me, that it's more important for me to be heard and to tell the details of my story than it is to really get to the heart of the matter. And we all do it. It's kind of an automatic pilot response. Hey man, how you doing? Oh my God, let me tell you story, and then I'm not done with my story. And don't interrupt me. Don't try to, I'm not done with my story. That's the red flag. When I feel that way, I'm not communicating anymore.
Brilliant.
I'm dumping, downloading. Yeah. And, and we all know what that's like to be on the receiving end of that.
Right.
Right. We all know what it's like.
A desperate experience. Well, also on the perpetrator end, if you will, there's a desperation experience as well. Like it's no better for the person telling the story.
Well, no, that's actually what I'm pointing to, is that the red flag to me as the speaker sharing to you is that I have that sense of desperation. Absolutely. That's the part of the energy I'm allowing to happen versus, mastering my energy or aligning my energy with my values.
Brilliant. I love that. Love that. I had a conversation.
So let me tell you. Oh no, I'm just kidding. No, I was just kidding. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, it's good. Good. I had a conversation with another coach some months back, and this coach has a different training and background than me. He is much more in the world of energy and attraction and that kind of stuff. And he's someone who's been in the business a very long time, very highly respected. Massive results from customers and stuff to point to. And he was generating a conversation with me about bringing contracted or bringing expansive energy. And before that conversation, I'd never really heard it talked about that way before. And what I like about that is it gives me an immediate access to something. Like I don't actually really know what expanded or contraction energy means, but I have an immediate experience of it. Like I can oh yeah, I got it. So I don't know what that is for you. Maybe it's the same for me, but I notice when I'm dealing with something, I can go dark or I can go light. I can dwell in the negatives and the circumstances and the unlikeliness or the impossibility or the predictable future or the how we got here. And it's just dark and it's contracted. Even my chest feels contracted and I feel heavy and tired, and I can dwell on that indefinitely. Minutes, hours, days, weeks, years, a lifetime. I was on that track for a while. The lifetime program. And then there's times I can viscerally connect with where I just knew something was going to work out. I just had all this great energy about something. I felt great about it. I felt confident. I felt prepared. I felt supported. Just all that kind of stuff. And there's a real forward momentum in that. And so one thing that I have started to take on ever since that conversation is being responsible for bringing expansive energy to whatever I'm dealing with in a conversation with a person, with a circumstance, distinguishing something, working with a client, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I make sure that I'm the one. If there's no one else, I'm the one bringing positive energy. I'm the one
Kirk,
bringing. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Your audio sounds like for some reason like you're getting farther and farther away from your audio. So I don't know if there's something going on with your. Maybe you can.
Yeah.
No, actually, that's a little better. I don't know. There was something.
Okay. Yeah.
You were fading away. So can you recreate? Just kind of the. What it means for you, again, expanding energy versus contracting energy, just real briefly. Expanding, contracting.
Practice right now. Yeah, great. We're not doing practice right now because, so let's just go that route. So what was there for me immediately is sort of exhaustion, frustration, feeling thwarted, unheard. Oh my gosh, this technology thing again. Is it never going to go away? Should we have done this or the other? There was in that 2 or 3 seconds, there was a world of complaint and upset and contraction. My chest was feeling contracted, my breathing went shorter, I had a weird little tingle in my chest, which I don't like, and all that kind of stuff, And then a moment later, right, what I'm interested in is performance, like having this go wonderfully, even if it means distinguishing something all over again, bringing life to it a second time, distinguishing it as though never before, right after I just got to distinguish it, whatever, right? And just bring an expansive energy to that. Okay, good, it's an opportunity here. Immediately, what I saw was an opportunity to use the real-time phenomena to distinguish what I was distinguishing. And now I'm not distinguishing something over again. I'm newly distinguishing something, dealing with something I'm dealing with right now. So, yeah, it's just a perfect example for me of, taking something that immediately shows up for me as all kind of negative. I could, spend 20 minutes on that. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to bring contracted energy to it. See, it's just like real-time like that. And then I immediately go to work on bringing something possible, bringing some space and some expansive energy to it. And something immediately showed up as of course. So just sort of by hook or crook or miracle, there you go. There's a quick 360 backflip by the Dragon Slayer.
Right on. Way to expand rather than contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's totally a practice. Nothing is figured out. Nothing is a given. Nothing is foregone. Nothing is assumed. Nothing is automatic. Well, plenty is automatic, and that's what we're dealing with, right? But, to continually distinguish where I'm bringing negative energy something, where I'm bringing contracted energy to something, and go right to work on flipping it upside down and bringing expansive energy to something. That is just a moment-by-moment practice. Yes.
I'd like to suggest that we expand on something that you created a little while ago, which was kind of how you can show up on any given day as if energy is happening to you versus getting aligned with, getting your awareness and your actions aligned with your values and your principles, and then inside of that, you're starting the day with a whole new energy. And I'd like you to tell me a little bit about your vision for the daily challenge wake up call. You like that segue?
Artful segue there. So I'm very excited about this. It's the Wake Up Challenge. It's a 30-minute conference coaching call is one thing that it is. 30-minute conference coaching call. It's free. And we'll have the phone number and the access PIN number there, available. But the idea is, a place to show up every morning at 7:30 Central, a place to show up every morning and bring good energy to your day. That's one way we can look at it. So the three things that I talk about in some of my videos are, you know, you could come in and just really be looking to bring some good energy to your day. You know, be in a conversation where people are standing for what's possible and practicing bringing expansive energy and, you know, committed to accomplishing something, you know, up to something and work on it, right? So, so that's one whole piece of the wake up challenge. Two other pieces include, you know, maybe you'd like to create specific intentions for the day, or maybe make promises for the day. You could even be there every day, making and completing promises day after day after day. It's totally appropriate. That's exactly what it's there for. And then thirdly, and not lastly necessarily, but thirdly, is what am I thinking? Good energy.
Well, what are you going to leave the call with?
Oh, that you actually want coaching about something. You're dealing with an actual business problem, or even something in your personal life that's really important, and you think that maybe having a conversation with somebody who's, you know, trained and skilled and experienced for a few minutes might make a difference with you. Then I'm totally available for that. So that's the wake up challenge, and I'm excited. We're getting it off the ground. You know, we're just getting started. It's every weekday, and you know, I'm really excited to see where it goes. So that's your energy and the pragmatic benefits of having great energy at the beginning of the day. You know, starting the day in the morning. If you're a solopreneur and a freelancer, that might be a breakthrough in and of itself to start the day in the morning. And then secondly, to start the day with like-minded people who are up to something, committed to accomplishing something today, or, you know, an environment to make promises or get coaching. So there you go.
Right on. You know, I love knowing that we're creating a space where we can be intentional about our day at the start of the day.
Yeah.
You know, most of us wake up feeling however we're feeling, embroiled in whatever story showed up on the cusp of, you know, unconsciousness and, you know, being halfway to an animal human being. And then we roll into the day just being a reaction to everything that comes next, as opposed to 7:30 Central, I get on a call and I'm going to be intentional about how I feel, what I'm up to, and creating a conversation that's going to have intention and where I can reach for and generate the energy I want rather than just being a reaction to it. Every day you should be able to look to thechallengecall.com for a post and information about that call, that daily call that'll happen the next day. That being said, if you are connected to LinkedIn, or if you have a profile on LinkedIn, you can find Dragon Slayer Kirk McDowell on LinkedIn, and you can find Achievement Coach Greg Kilgore on LinkedIn as well. And we'll be sharing and posting that information too.
Yep. Right.
That being said, you know, you and I created a possibility last week, and you know, I'm going to be straight about how, you know, we create what's possible, and we don't always fulfill. And how do we deal with that? So let's just deal with it, right? No judgment, no electrical charge, no negative electrical charge either way. I had a goal that I created with you, that in addition to that daily wake-up call, we were going to start with a weekly call, just audio, not necessarily this video. We're going to invite people to come in, and that call is going to have a really specific topic, and we're going to, whatever that topic is, we're going to break it apart, break it wide open, and give people the opportunity to have a breakthrough, if you will, on that topic. And so last week we talked about that we would do it this Wednesday morning. Just to be clear, I didn't promote it, and we're not prepared for tomorrow morning, but I'm going to declare here out in the wild, out in the open, next Wednesday morning we'll do it. And we'll shoot for every Wednesday morning, and we'll talk more about the time, and we'll get that promoted now between here and there. And our first topic next week is going to be the topic of money. You know, how we relate to it.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Regarding tomorrow, why don't you and I just do this tomorrow, and we'll create promo material for it. Like we'll just share, not promo, but
that sounds good. Great.
And then we'll spend that time, and maybe we can make a few things, cut them up, and so we can use that to send stuff out during the week.
Absolutely. What way to turn I didn't show up prepared for the complete game, and we're still going to make use of the space and the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, that might be a blessing. That might give us some big value.
Great. That being said, I did actually record the audio material that we talked about, which is a conversation from the book Winning Through Enlightenment. So I did already record that audio. Yeah. Though it's in like 5 pieces, and I need to put it all together. So again, it's one of these things where we have this great idea and there's all this magic, and we're going forward, and then I hit a technology thing to do, and it just, I let the energy, lessen. But I know right where it is. I've actually pushed the ball just about as far down the field as I can. So, first downs, you are really great and have created with me a distinction I never had before, because I just don't have a strong relationship to athletics or professional sports. But I get the whole, everybody understands, well, most everybody understands how football is played. And I have been loving this year, always remembering at least I'm running and achieving again and again one more first down. And as you like to say, I mean, that's how games are won.
Yeah.
One first down.
I want to double down. I've been doubling down on
that in
my own life. So, I'm in a situation where I recently gave up a big business client that was most of my business, about 30 hours a week, and that's really how I was sustaining myself and so forth. So for a variety of reasons, we decided to complete that engagement, and so now I'm back in a business building mode. I'd had something handled, and now it's not handled, and I'm back in the game. So one thing I noticed is I typically respond to that by wanting to create big games. Let's create a coaching academy. Let's create this weekly thing. Let's big. And while I love doing that, and I don't even have a judgment about that, I do have a judgment. I love it. I think it's awesome, right? However, I'm bringing something else to the game called, how about we get a client next week? And
how about a first down?
It's another way, right? It's another way to look at the first down conversation, right? Like, how about we dedicate ourselves fully, like, so today is Tuesday, right? How about if I dedicate all of this week and all of next week to getting one client? And then how about if I win that game, right? And then at the reset, I create a game that might look like, hey, next week, let's get the one client. And so forth and so on. All of a sudden, I realized that created an entirely different experience or energy, if you will, for me about my circumstances. And all of a sudden, while I'm playing big games in the background, because I just can't help myself, really the game I'm playing is, okay, what is going to make a difference in winning the game of, having one client show by the end of next week. So when you started sharing about the first down, that I wanted to create that because it's kind of a sort of a deepening for me of that distinction.
Yeah, I get it. And, I want to acknowledge in that also that, that a lot of solo entrepreneurs or solopreneurs go into our profession because we want to do what we're good at. I want to coach, or I want to consult, or I want to be the graphic designer, or I want to be the web developer, or the programmer, or the artist, or I want to be what I want to be. And then you get there, and the big dose of reality that most small business or solopreneurs face is that you have to sell what you do. And so some people face that with terror, But I actually want to speak
Those
to
are a
the
lot of
solo.
calls I get.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, right. When they come to us, how do we help?
Yeah.
So here's some free coaching on that, right?
All right.
So I'm not going to just speak to the solopreneur or consultant or person who didn't want to have to sell their business, but then showed up and realized I have to sell it before I can have somebody pay me for it and do it. I have to be a salesperson. I'm also speaking to the salesperson. So I'm gonna set aside the conversation about fear, and I'm gonna look at specifically a phenomenon that I think is well served by the first downs or the first down approach, and that phenomenon is I'm gonna call it novelty. So let's say I've got the sales process more or less nailed down. For me, it's I have to post on social media so many times a day to kind of raise my hand and get your attention and build my brand. And then I actually have to get in conversation with people where when I just roll it over in my head, it just sounds like I'm going to have the same conversation over and over and over. And I'm not being present to what it's really like to talk to a person when I'm face to face. I'm back here just sitting in my office like, but this is what it's going to look like over and over, right? So, and then when it comes to sales, let's say I close a deal and then I close another, novelty, our human nature is that it starts to feel like something I do all the time, and it loses its excitement. It loses my interest, lessens because it just feels like something I have to do and something I'm just going to do over and over and over again the same way. And I forget that when I show up to do it, I'm actually present to it. Okay, so I wanted to point to that phenomenon that highly effective salespeople face and deal with, as well as the entrepreneur that's gotten past that initial just fear about being in a sales mode. When we have anything we have to do, particularly find new clients, find new customers, it ends up just going into that bucket where we procrastinate about things because it loses its excitement, its newness, and its sexiness for us. And whether I am out to remember and wake up to the fact that when I'm present with you right now, present here and now, there's going to be a whole new fresh conversation, whole new fresh energy, new possibility, new I get to know you better, you get to know me better. When I'm present to that, I'm not making a sale. We're getting to know each other better. We're having a conversation, and a deal's going to happen or a deal's not going to happen. So that's part of that. To me, that is, the practice of getting present to the now and bringing that practice of being present to the now into a conversation with you. And it's also, let's you and me just be out to hit a first down together. I don't even know that means closing a deal. My first down with you is actually going to be, I want to hear what's going on with you, and I want to listen for how I can be a contribution to you. And we have a whole other conversation we'd love to. I knew you knew I was going to touch on that, but whole other conversation we can have with folks about how, contribution selling is a way to be. But in this context of the first down, I just want to make a first down with you, and I don't need to carry around with me all the rest of the game and all the rest of the playbook and all the rest of the stuff that I've gotten procrastinating about because I've lost my intimacy with it because I've just let it become a chore.
Beautiful. While you were sharing and you got to it, I was just really present to. So this is a conversation about selling. This is let's call it a conversation for transformational selling. Okay, let's call it that one. And so what I mean by that is bringing transformation to the selling process. So what do I mean by that? So you kind of touched on contribution selling. That's just something that we're working on together. And so I just saw a whole new avenue for myself to model contribution selling in my own business. So my business is already very much, I mean, contribution selling is basically an offshoot of my business, how I started it, right? But so, you know, I have this thing called the challenge call. I give it away. I do this thing called the wake up challenge. I give it away, and I'm all about, you know, social media. I go and, you know, my LinkedIn account, find ways to contribute to people, you know, so all my marketing is about contributing first, developing a relationship, you know, creating value, you know, brownie points in the bank, or however you want to say it, right? And some people choose to ask me about my business, and some people don't. It's all perfect, right? And so one of the ways I market my business is I call people and just kind of see what they're up to. And what I would do in the past is call people up, still from a very generous place, right? But call people up, just kind of see what they're up to, and share what I'm up to, right? And that's really beautiful. You know, lots of times a difference really got made. They got heard. They got to share. I'm sharing what I'm up to. What I'm up to is creating a coaching business. It's kind of a natural conversation, right? But I just saw a whole new possibility, which is, and I wrote it down, to call people for opportunities to contribute.
Okay. Yeah, please tell me more about that. Right?
And have a conversation and just listen for an opportunity to contribute, and that's it. So, you know, hey, what are you doing? And they're sharing what they're doing, and they're listening for, you know, what they're up to and what's their experience, and you know, what are they committed to, and you know, what are they dealing with? And you're just listening for opportunities to contribute, and that conversation just goes for however long it goes. And there's no intention. I can see a possibility of there's no intention necessarily for me to get in there and share about my coaching business. You know, it'll just naturally, it'll rise or it won't or whatever. But I bet if I called, you know, 4 or 5 people a day and just really listen for opportunities to contribute and brought everything I have to that, I bet that would turn out in over time to be an excellent marketing process.
I hear the potential. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean by transformational selling. Like, on one hand, you're not selling. What are you doing? And if I were somebody's sales manager and I was from a different time in my life and somebody rolled this out, I'd have to go like, dude, you need to close some sales. I don't know what all that is, but here's what you need to do. You know? But now I can really hear it is, you know, if I'm really effective and authentic in my desire and my commitment to contribute to people, every now and then somebody's going to be looking for a coach, or somebody's going to know somebody is, or whatever. It really doesn't matter. Just go out in the world and be myself fully, contribute to people. And what a beautiful way to market your business, you know. So that's what I saw.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to need to conclude this broadcast shortly.
Okay.
Let's start working on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that we have too much fun sometimes. Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, and it's been awesome. So I just want to say that I really like, though, what you just created about reaching out to people that I think that I could really create a lot of value with, or value for them, and just reaching out to them to just be a contribution to them, you know. And what I love about it is the intentionality and the authenticity of just being a contribution. And then, you know, if we wanted to view it from the sidelines, you know, somebody who wanted to create a game around it and a scorecard, you know, can look at it as I am practicing establishing my brand with people one-to-one.
Wow, I like that.
I'm constantly reinforcing my values and my alignment to my values. And I'm growing stronger and creating a greater energy as well, you know, with that level of practice. And I'm surprising the hell out of people who are expecting me to call and ask for something for them do something for me, or to buy something
part, by the way.
Yeah, right. Well, don't. Is that it? You just called to find out what you can do for me? Yeah.
I love that, man. You call somebody up out of the blue and just
there, but yeah, no.
And you just blow them up, and you can hear the whole new space. And, okay, cool. I just want to check on you. That was fun. Fun until the day's done, right there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this puppy up in a bow.
So to find out more about anything anybody heard today or to have a deeper conversation, you can reach out to us at thechallengecall.com. I am Achievement Coach Greg Kilgore. I am the Graceful Freedom Fighter, and I'm fighting for your empowerment and your freedom to have the lifestyle, the love, and the purpose you want. And I'm here with.
Oh, that's the awkward silence where I jump in. I think we just lost our video.
That's okay. I can still hear you. So you are.
Oh, beautiful. Here with Kirk McDowell, the Dragon Slayer, light, love, and connections.
Love it.
Love it.
All right,
guys.
So there you are. Bye.
Oh, there we go. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Yep. Stay on sun.